Yep. I check it again.
Yeah, I did.
Be my luck.
Oh, let me see Tracy's.
I'm like, I never have mine on, and yet
The
it's like,
one time that somebody,
Okay, whatever she.
Oh,
yeah.
my
Oh, I
gosh,
can't track
I
her.
hate those. Boom.
Yeah. It always seems to be louder on a table too.
Yeah, they
Never fails.
Sarah's here. Yeah. Tracy's 0.4 miles away. I stalk all my friends and moms. It's really helpful with the team grandma. I'm like,
Testing.
oh, you're driving now?
Soccer right now.
No, I brought them.
Oh.
It was already half gone. No, if I went through.
This is
mute.
testing.
I was supposed to say something.
Test, test, test.
It's delayed a little bit. But
Good evening.
heard myself.
Can I turn it off? No. Well, then I guess they can hear it.
Good evening. There we go. There we go. I see you're all scattered out. I'm not sure you all got the note. COVID's over. So you don't have to social distance anymore. You can even come down closer. I've met with these friendly people already tonight, and I don't think they bite. So feel free to fill in the front rows if you'd like. So welcome to the Smithville School Board Candidate Forum. We're excited for you to have an opportunity to interact with the 5 candidates for school board. I'd like to thank those who are online right now joining us as well. We're going to let the candidates introduce themselves, and then I'm going to give you just a few of the ground rules for tonight, and then we'll jump into it. So we'll go from there we go. Station.
I am.
Right in the middle.
You got it.
Oh, sorry.
I am Station Head, and I have lived in the Smithville School District for the vast majority of my life. I walked across the stage in the gymnasium to receive my diploma. I also went to preschool up behind the bleachers of the gymnasium, so I have been here my whole life. And I knew that one day I would love to come back here and raise my own family here because I loved it so much and I had such a great experience. So I'm raising my 5th grade son, Eli, and my 2nd grade daughter, Kylie, here. And my greatest desire is that they would leave Smithville with the same fond memories and the fond feelings that I had, that they would be proud to be warriors as they go off into their lives. And, you know, it wouldn't hurt either if they didn't decide that they wanted to come back here and raise their families, because I don't see myself going anywhere. And I would love for them to be here with me. So what I can do to make this school better and move it forward and make it a place that people want to come and continue bringing their kids here and bringing them to Smithville to go to school and be educated, the better it is for me as a lifetime resident. Strong schools make a strong community. So whether my kids come back or not, I know that it makes a difference for me as I continue on in my life. And that's ultimately what has driven me to decide to take the step and to try to be on the school board so that I can serve this community that served me so well, but also build a better school and a better community for the future.
Hi, I'm Samantha Orshin. I'm a mother of 3 younger children, so I'm deeply vested in the district and community as decisions made will impact them for years to come. I want to ensure that responsible and positive decisions are being made for our students and teachers. I have my Master's of Business Administration and Bachelor's of Science in Business Management and Marketing, both from Northwest. My husband and I moved to Smithville 5 years ago when my oldest was getting close to school age. She's now in 3rd grade, and I also have a 1st grader and then a 3-year-old, so not quite school age yet. My husband graduated from Smithville, and we like the small town feel. So when we were deciding where to move, we wanted to come back here. So we like the small town feel while it's also competitive with academics and athletics as well. And we love the warrior pride that's everywhere in town. So it is perfect for our family. My family's involved in many activities and sports in the community, and I'm fortunate enough to help coach some of their teams through Smithville Parks and Rec. I'm a member of Maple's PTO hospitality team, and I volunteer at the kids' school whenever I have the opportunity to do so. And just thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight for the public to get to know us better as well. So.
My name is Susan Whitaker, and I've been on the school board for 3 years. I'm running for re-election. 2020 was when I first came on, so that's been quite a journey, but I feel very rewarded being on the school board, and it's made me want to run again. I grew up in an education family. My parents were both high school teachers, and my sister is a grade school teacher. I knew education was not for me, so I went into the medical field, and I'm a dietitian, but I always wanted to give back in some way to public education, and with that, I have 2 sons. Jackson is a sophomore at the high school, and Noah graduated last year. And Noah is at a very prestigious college, and I feel the reason that he got into that college was the excellent education he got here at Smithville. They both have gone K through 12. We lived in Smithville for 20 years now. So I think I have that parent's perspective of the K through 12 area. And then I just feel like I've got to do a lot of wonderful things while I've been on the board. We hired a new superintendent. We had our test scores be above the 88th percentile in all scores. And something I'm proud of is we've worked real hard on the real world learning program and advanced that. That's something that I'm deeply invested in. So I just think that, these things that I've done while I've been on the board is the reason that I want to run again.
I'm Brooke Perkins, and I have 4 kids, 10, 7, 6, and 3. My older 3 are at Eagle Heights currently, and we moved to Smithville about 6 years ago. But before that, my husband actually graduated high school here, and then he bought a business, and so he has a business here in town, which he uses to work with the school to provide opportunities for real world learning, which Susan just mentioned, and that's really exciting. He also coached at the high school for 11 years, so we've been just invested in the school district as a whole since basically when he left. And it's been really exciting to be a part of all of that stuff that's been happening, like the real world learning, and just basically I got into coming to these meetings because I have young kids there. Just when my oldest was starting to go to school, I wanted to see what things were about. I was curious, and then the pandemic hit, and I had some selfish desires where I wanted to get things in order for my kids and from my perspective. But then I realized that coming to the meetings, I was learning so much more about the school, what they had to offer, things that were exciting and up and coming that I wanted to be a part of. That, my kids weren't old enough to take advantage yet, but I could see the potential for them down the line for our children, and that was really exciting. And so I started coming to more meetings, getting more involved with the school board, the members reaching out to me directly to help me get more information and just be a part of what they're trying to do here with the district. So the more I join these meetings, the more I show up, the more exciting the things are that I see coming down the line. And I just want to be a part of that. I want to step up and not just talk to the school board anymore, and maybe just participate in helping them achieve the goals and stuff that they are putting in line for our district in the future. And then, while I go to these meetings and I talk to people in the community, I can hear their concerns that might have been different than mine, or some that are brand new that I didn't even consider. And so I know that in this position, I would be able to step up and be a voice for those people, whether they have kids in the district or not, if they have a business in the community, or if they're, older and just are part of the community and want to know what the school's going to do with the money that's coming from their taxes. I want to make sure that I'm hearing those voices and their concerns, and that we're taking all of the knowledge that's available to us to make the best decisions for the school and the community as a whole. And so I just am excited to be part of that and hear everybody's perspective and keep an open mind.
My name is Patrick Nichols, and my wife Casey and I are parents to our 4-year-old son Jordan and our 3-year-old daughter Riley. So my kids will be forthcoming into the district. And I graduated from Raleigh with a degree in mining engineering, and I currently work as a technical sales and service manager for a company that services the mining and quarry business for Kansas, Missouri, and Southern Illinois. In that role, I do all the operating budgets, invoices, revenue, profit and losses, and I have a background prior to that in management and leadership. I was on a leadership team that ran the largest underground limestone mine in North America. And through my current role and my previous role, I intend to lean on those experiences and that background in order to be able to provide value as a school board member in a school district. I'm running because civic duty has been a responsibility that's been important to me and instilled in me by my parents. And I feel that we all have a responsibility as citizens and parents to be involved. And certainly I'm excited about the opportunities and the current state of growth of our school district and the opportunities ahead of us in our school district, as well as the forthcoming entry of my children into the school district. I really just am excited to be able to bring a drive to be a part of something positive that will impact my children and the community. And I feel as though with my background as an engineer and a manager, and obviously a parent, I feel that I can provide value as a school board member within our district, and I certainly hope that you find me deserving of your vote on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Roy Moran, and I'm excited to be your moderator tonight. I have no children in this school system, but I do have 3 grandchildren in the school system. Molly Sanders, Boone Sanders, and Scarlett Sanders. So I'm excited to hear the answers to these men and women here as we ask them some questions. The questions have been given by the sponsors of this event, the Smithville PTO and parents groups. And they submitted the questions in writing beforehand, and we've got them here. And also, we're going to just take about 75 minutes to have these questions. So if you're interested in when we're going to end, I know these are some of them, 4 of them at least, are budding politicians. One's already a politician, so they might be able to speak forever, but I doubt it. I doubt it. They just seem like very articulate, well thoughtful people. So we're going to hold them to about 3 minutes per question tonight, as we go through these questions. Be no dialogue amongst the candidates at all, and actually no questions from the crowd until afterwards. And they're all willing to stay afterwards and answer your questions personally if you'd like to give those to them. So first question is going to go to Patrick. Patrick, what do you see as the biggest issue facing the Smithville School District, and how will your candidacy address this issue?
As far as the biggest issue within the school district, I think you have to kind of look at the community as a whole, and you can obviously see that the community is growing at a pretty rapid pace. Certainly, the school district points out you don't necessarily see that growth happening in the lower elementaries and the pre-K, but that growth, within the community, I think will rebound in the middle school and high school as the school district is preparing for. And so I think the biggest issue is that preparation for, as our community grows, how is our school district going to grow? Obviously, being a public school district, we have a set amount of funding that we can have, and if that wave of growth comes into the school district without preparedness, whether it be from a facility standpoint, from having the proper teaching staffs and administration staffs to support that growth and that surge of children, I think we could find ourselves at a, basically on the back end of the problem instead of the front end of the problem. With that, you have to continue to be an attractive school district to keep pace with that growth. Obviously, we want to be a growing community, and we want to be a community that's attractive to young families. And so I think the bond issue coming up is really important. I think that comes into play for a growth perspective. It not only adds a lot of safety features to our current facilities, but as we brought on the transportation services into the school district, we have to build a facility for that. There's obviously numerous issues on there, but on the back end of that bond issue, hopefully it passes. We have to continue to still look forward and continue to still develop plans and long-term plans that are currently ongoing, but that's kind of a moving target, a moving benchmark. You don't ever really reach it. You're constantly having to continue to develop the next long-term plan. And I think a lot of that has to do with facilities and district offerings. And so I would say that from a planning perspective, I've been involved with that pretty much my entire career. And that's the thing that excites me the most about this opportunity is the fact that we're not a district that's just maintaining and stagnant. We are a school district that has a lot of growth, a lot of opportunity, and the timing of my children coming into the school district is what really drives me into that opportunity.
Thank you. Susan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I think one of the biggest issues is, I know we've been talking a lot about it, but is funding for all of our staff and the schools. I think the current board has made a huge effort. We gave our staff one of the biggest raises they've ever had. I think we're trying to commit the money to it. One thing about Smithville is we have one of the lowest tax rates in the Kansas City area. And what that means is we get a lot less money coming in, and we're expected to, we always say, do more with less. So, you know, when people want us to do all of these things, we also have to look at our budget. We can't overspend what we're getting. And so I think that is something that we need to look at. Hopefully we do have some income coming from the Meta buildings that are coming. And I think that we as a district need to be careful about how we spend that and use it in the correct way and use it for the best way to benefit our students. Again, that's, you know, why we're here. Yeah, another thing I want to say is I do agree with the bond. And something for school funding is very complex, and it took me 3 years basically being on the board to really figure out a lot of that. And I think the general public might not know some of that, but just to know when we are trying to pass a bond, we can only use that bond money for infrastructure and buildings. We cannot use it for salaries. We cannot use it for normal day-to-day. So the only way we could increase that is to pass a levy and mean there was a tax rate increase. So I think we need to do this bond. The transportation is a big thing. And we were very lucky to be able to buy land close to us and ideally to put our transportation center on. And then the last thing is, you know, I think there's an attack on public schools. I know some of our school board members went to the legislators today and talked to them about that. And that is something that I'm very passionate about. I grew up in public schools. I believe that public schools are the reasons many of these smaller communities are around and thrive. So I feel that one way I can help address that is to help with fighting some of the legislation and helping to address our public schools.
Thanks. Samantha, your turn.
Okay, I think the greatest issue that our district is facing is our teacher pay and retention and attracting new talent. Our children are the future, and the best thing that we can do for them is give them great teachers and role models. Outside of doing that as a parent ourselves, Smithville does have amazing teachers, and to ensure that those teachers want to stay within the district, you need to be competitive with pay, benefits, and other incentives as well. And I do understand the significance of the payments that will be coming in from the data center, and that a large portion should be allocated to increasing our teacher pay to signal to other districts that we're serious about retaining our teachers, but also we want to be highly competitive with other districts in Kansas City area to attract new teachers as well. And as the others have pointed out, this bond is a big deal, and I'm definitely in favor of it because we do need all of the items in it, but for this question specifically, the on-site transportation facility, just that's something that we need for our students to help them get to school and you know what they're here for. So I do believe that we need to definitely increase our teachers' pay and to attract new teachers as well. So.
Thank you. Brooke.
Okay, so the biggest issue I think in general is just building trust between the school district, the community, and our families. And with that trust will come the benefits of understanding the needs of the school district and how they're going to affect the community. You know, it has been a tough past couple of years. A lot of people were kind of opening their eyes about the controls and the different things that are happening in our district, in our schools, and the limitations of the district as a whole. So we need to really work together to identify those needs. We need to speak to the community and figure out what their priorities are. And then obviously teacher pay is huge. You know, I think I thought I saw somewhere where it's like we're 22 out of 22 local area districts in our teacher pay. And that to me is just, it's really disheartening to hear or to see on paper. We have really high test scores. Our kids are getting a great education, and I think it's important to reflect that to our teachers and help them to feel appreciated. I know a lot of them invest a lot of their time, their personal time, and their emotions into our children and their education, and I just want to make sure that they feel the value that they truly hold here in the district to our community and our families. I am excited for the data center and hoping that will provide funding. I think it's unclear how much funding it's going to provide and how quickly that will be coming in. So I definitely need to pay attention to the budget and see what's available right now, what we can put towards the priority things like teacher salary. The bond issue coming up is not going to increase the tax on our community, which is very necessary right now to get this district's facilities upgraded, HVAC in the middle school, to provide a proper learning environment that's comfortable for the teachers and for our students. It's really hard to learn if you're, constantly worried about the temperature and being cold or like too hot, depending on where you're at in the building, taking track on and off. I mean, just simple stuff like that. And obviously the transportation facility is important. The expansion of getting the field turf, I think that one's a lot that people are kind of scoffing at. But if you really think about it, and I was listening to somebody put it into a little bit more perspective from being in the schools, when you have all those kids trying to get their different outdoor activities done within the district, outside the district, their extracurricular activities, where the spaces that they're going to use that is really important. Whether depending, maybe you don't want to muddy up a field and not be able to use that area. You have a whole bunch of kids inside of a gym. We're expanding. We have so many new families coming into the district, and we want to make sure we have the space for them that we can use and that can be safe. It's not just for sports, it's, for their everyday outdoor activities and, extracurricular classes. And
Time's up.
Thank you.
I guess that leaves me to All right,
That
well,
one.
a lot of what's been addressed here is what I believe is the biggest issue. And I think the amazing thing is, as we have alluded to, our test scores are extremely high, and research actually shows that our academics should be declining because of our staff inconsistency. I forget the actual percentage, but just like we are lagging in our salaries for our teachers, we are lagging in keeping our teachers. And usually that's going to show up in academic scores, and we're going to see decreases. So it's an amazing testament to the people that we have in our school district teaching our students that we are able to keep those test scores high and to continue to be proud of those. And I think there are so many underlying issues that we need to address when it comes to staff consistency. One of those being staff pay. Obviously, we have to do better. We have to show that we respect our teachers, that we value our teachers, that we understand that they come into this with a passion for our students, and that we see it and we recognize it, and we see them and we recognize them, and we recognize the value that we bring. We have to say it with more than words. We have to say it with their pay, and there are also creative ways that they have brought forward that they see as intangibles that we could offer as well. And I think we need to consider those and take a close look at those and see what we can do so that when people choose Smithville, they stay in Smithville. But I believe it goes deeper than that as well. I believe our classroom ratios are important to look at. That is going to lead to burnout of teachers. My son is in a classroom of 27 students, and I have heard from his teachers how difficult that is and how those students are not getting the individual care that they need because there are so many of them in the classroom and so many of them need help that they can't get to everyone. So we need to look at that as well, because that's another one of those intangibles that can enhance the overall well-being of our teachers. And I think we need to be very intentional about supporting our teachers and our staff. They need to know that they are supported and that they have that the school board, the administration, we have their backs. Because I believe there has been a shift in our society and more people point the finger at the teachers. And it's time that we stand up and we let them know that we understand that they are doing the best they can, and that we will be in their corner and we will stand up for them, because when they feel respected and valued, they're not going to need to run off to another place just to pick up a better paycheck. They're going to feel the value and the respect of the Smithville community, and they are going to want to stay here and be with the students that they have come to love so dearly.
Time's up. Samantha, you're up first this time. Second question, what would you like to see the school board do differently, and or how would you like to see it build on its previous work?
You can write it down.
I should have brought up the Jeopardy music.
Okay. I personally feel like we have a very good board right now. We have diverse viewpoints. So this question has come up a few times, and there's no big outstanding issue that I think that the board needs to be handling differently than how they already have. I think they're doing a good job, and for me as a candidate, I would just like to hopefully be able to step into that role and continue to do a great job for our kids and teachers and community. To build on previous work that they've done, I know this year that we have passed the largest raise increase for teachers that I think they said in the history, maybe. So I would like us to continue to build on that and increase our teachers' pay, to retain our teachers and to attract new quality teachers. I know other districts, they have gone down to a 4-day school week, and I don't think that's in the best interest of the kids. That makes for longer days. Not to mention what do parents that work 5 days a week do with their children? And I've heard that, well, those districts you may have seen on the news or wherever you get your information, that those districts are getting a huge increase in applications, but what kind of quality candidates are applying to work at those districts? I believe it's probably a teacher who sees just the 4-day work week and is like, oh, 3-day weekend. Anyway, I think what I would like us to build on from the board's previous work this year and in the past is just to increase our teachers' pay, continue with lots of program offerings for our kids. But yes.
Good. Stacia, you're next.
I agree that our current school board is doing good things. I did not sign up to run because I had some massive issue or problem with our current school board. So I can't speak to that. I do agree that the steps they are taking to increase our teacher pay is something that I want to be a part of. I know that we can build on that, especially when we do have opportunities coming into our community that are going to push the needle on what is available to our school district. And that's exciting. But opportunities are only truly opportunities if we do in fact leverage them and we choose to act on them and use them in the right way. So I believe that the current school board, and hopefully if the community believes that I can serve them well as a part of that school board, that I can be a voice of support in that effort and continue to lead us in that way to say, let's use these dollars in the way we know they need to be used. Let's not look at them sit and look at how beautiful they are, and then divert them to the wrong places. Let's narrow down what are those key things that we need to be focused on. I know this current board believes part of that is attracting and retaining the very best teachers, and that is absolutely one of my top priorities because the students are my top priority. And the only way for our students to get the very best education is if we provide them with the very best educators, and I believe we can do that.
All right, Brooke.
Okay, so it's my opinion that I think the board, and we can have improvements, so this is not a knock on the current board, but I think we can do better at communicating to the parents in the community. And in general, getting better conversations out there. I don't have all the right answers now, but it is going to be my goal, should I be elected, to create a better communication between the families, the teachers, the community, and the board to find out what really it is the best thing that we need, get more numbers out here. I know there's a whole bunch of you here tonight, and I appreciate you guys showing up, and I don't know how many are watching on the internet. Don't want to think about that. But I just want to engage with more people. And I see so many parents and families out at these youth football and all that stuff. I'm just like, where are you at these meetings? Because I've learned so much, and I just want to spread that out there. So I'm going to use, myself as an individual to continue to spread out the information that I'm gathering. I know a lot of people can't be there. They just can't make it work, and that's okay, but I am willing to make it work to get that information for you and to get it out to the community. And I want to be there to listen to the community. Maybe you don't have kids there in the district, but they do care what's going on in their district. And the things that I'm excited about, the Portrait of a Graduate, that is up and coming, and it's within the whole Kansas City area. I think that has amazing potential to expand and just create so many opportunities for our students when they leave high school. Not everybody's built for college, and this will provide other opportunities to explore other than just college, or to help them get into the colleges that they want. I think that's amazing. Another program I heard about at these meetings, Grow a Teacher. It's so exciting. That's going to create more opportunities to bring light to the amazing program or the amazing job of educator that's so needed in our society. And it's so rewarding if you can get the support behind your community, your families, and the board. So that's something I think that we could help, shed a little bit more light on that, just that job opportunity. I think it's amazing. The real world learning, obviously I've already mentioned that. I'm so excited about that. It's just creating more opportunities and helping students find out what other things are available for them so that they can leave high school and know that they have confidence in the decisions that they're making. They're not going to get stuck in an education program that they're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. If they had, have that real world learning opportunity, they could see, well, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. Maybe I'll try something else before they're like 4 years deep into a college program and it didn't turn out what they wanted. So I'm hoping all of these opportunities will create more confidence in our students and just provide an amazing choice out for everybody, whatever they're going to be enjoying. College isn't for you, that's okay. These are other things that are equally amazing and can provide a living for somebody.
Time's up.
Oh, that was
Pat?
yes.
Oh, no, Susan. I'm sorry. Susan came back.
I'm next.
Oh, sorry.
I think I have a unique perspective as being on this board for the last 3 years. I am very proud of everybody that has been on there. We've had a lot of things that a lot of boards don't go through. COVID, we've had a new superintendent, and I think the main thing that I'm very proud of is we work together. Being on a board, the one thing that you really learn is you are one of 7. You have ideas, but you have to work with everybody else, and you have to listen. I think that's something that's been very important, is maybe I don't agree with one of my fellow board members and they don't agree with me, but we're willing to listen to each other and see different perspectives. So I think that is something that's very important. Something we've been working on, and I think we're getting better at, is working on the governance part and making sure that the school board we're at the level where they should be. They should be doing the higher level stuff, the policies, the procedures, the strategic planning that we've done. We have just almost completed a 5-year strategic planning. I think that we did that very well. There was community involvement there, so I thank everybody that did come to that. There was administrator involvement. And, I, as a board member, I am not an expert in education. Like I said, I didn't major in education. So I need to be able to stay at the upper level and trust that the people that we hire can do that. I always think that we can build on, trying to use the budget to the best thing, to try to give everybody the best things that we can do. The real world learning is very important to me, that we try to work on that. Listening to the community, trying to have meetings like this and, trying to encourage the community to come out and talk to us. And both sides understanding that we want to hear everybody's, want to hear what they want to say. But, we all have different wishes and different views, but to the fact that we can all at least listen to each other and see where everybody's coming from. So, like I said, I'm proud of what we've done, but you can always improve. And with new board members on, it will be a new year and new things to work on.
Thank you. Patrick?
During the tag on what Brooke talked about, I think communication is an easy thing to look at, how we need to do differently, just because it's an evolving and advancing target constantly. So when you're looking at trying to improve communication, the target audience would be the community, the parents, basically the stakeholders of the school district. And I think, to tackle that, you have to look at the community as a whole and identify groups like the Main Street District that does a really good job of getting turnout at community events. You look at groups like Mothers Preschoolers that Stacia leads up, the Senior Center, the city government. How are those organizations going after and improving communication and learning as a community across all of the organizations and trying to constantly involve our communication process? Where are those communication channels within the community, and how can we get into those channels to ensure that we're communicating what we're doing as a school district? And I think a lot of that comes from having a well-rounded board, having people that are involved in multiple different things within the community. Certainly helps provide that input to drive that improvement. Kind of looking at something that we could build on from previous work. When I transitioned from an engineer out of college into a management leadership role, one thing that was kind of stuck with me along the way that I really leaned on was communicating what you do and doing what you communicate. And I think you can look at, as a school district, you have to prioritize the needs of the district, because you can't just go get more money. So with that comes extremely hard decisions. If we're going to prioritize teacher salaries, something else is going to have to sacrifice on that back end. We can't just make more money. I know the meta coming in is going to be certainly a unique opportunity to have additional revenue that we're not used to. But in the short term, we have to do stuff now, and certainly the current school board has done that with the teacher raises that they passed. But I think communicating those priorities as a school district that we're going to align with, if it's teacher salaries, if it's facilities, if it's expanding staff, if it's expanding needs and support staff, if it's going after additional funding for extracurriculars, whatever those priorities are, I think it's important that we have a plan. That plan is established and communicated back within the community, so that as we're making decisions as a school district, they are in line with what those priorities are that have been communicated. And I think having that planning and organization is critical to being successful as a school district, but also being successful within the community.
Thank you. So you might want to get your pens and pencils out right now, because this is a long question.
Great.
marijuana is now legal in Missouri. Our neighboring communities, likely Smithville too, are dealing with the growing issues around vaping, fentanyl, prescription drugs, and other illicit drug use among middle and high schoolers. The Smithville CIA is a great asset to the community, but it is independent of the school district. What will you do to work with your fellow board members and district leadership to bring more thorough drug and alcohol education prevention programs to our students and parents? All right, Susan,
Okay.
you're up first.
Okay. Oops. Turn on helps.
Okay, I think one thing that's very important about this is that I believe we already are doing this, doing a lot of education in our younger grades, in our high school. I don't know the exact, maybe what it's called, but I do know that we are doing it. And I do know we partner with the CIA. I know they are not a school district, but they partner with us drastically. They do the trader cards at the high school, and I know that's been a big thing in getting kids, high school kids that are seniors, saying that they will be drug and alcohol free, and they make cards, and we can give them out to the youth. We don't realize how much the youth in our district look up to these older athletes. Maybe they're in the band or they're an athlete or a dancer, but these kids look up to them, and I think that's one way the CIA is partnered with the school district, and we promote those kind of things. I know we have a lot of members of the school district that are part of the CIA or are very involved, and so I do think that making marijuana legal it's made it harder. There's not a lot of direction in the state right now on what what we're supposed to do with this, but I do know that we can't say that we don't have a problem here in Smithville. I know a lot of people think that we're a small community and we're not by the big cities and that we might not have any problems. Well, we do. I know there's a lot of problems with vaping in the high schools if you talk to the principals and everything. So I think we just need to keep diligent because we do have that here, and we just need to all work together, and the school board can support whatever programs are deemed necessary by the staff.
Thank you. Patrick?
Sure. When you think about those issues, obviously it's not just secluded in our community. And I would say our community is probably impacted significantly less than some of the surrounding communities in our area. But I think when you are looking at the issues of drugs or anything that is consequential to what our policies are here in the district, I think the two things that come to mind for me are education and consequences. So an education on topics like drugs and alcohol abuse, I don't think those can start soon enough. And I think back to me growing up, the DARE program. I mean, I was in elementary school when that program started. And, I think sometimes we think that those types of topics are maybe a little too mature for younger students, but I really don't think that if it's going to be a problem or it is an existing problem in our district, that education can't start soon enough for our youth. The sooner they find out that that's not the right path in life and the consequences of those decisions, I think the easier that becomes as they mature into those peer pressure roles as an older child to where it's more prevalent. And I think that obviously the Community Action Group, as Susan pointed out, does a really good job of finding good role models in the community. I know that the young students certainly involved in the youth football program, they look up to the athletes that are competing at the high school level. And when those students are being involved in a program like Community in Action, I think that speaks volumes to younger students. So having those role models that they're looking up to in other aspects of their life, participate in a program like that, I think is extremely important that the school district and the school board supports that. And then on the back end of looking at these issues, we have to have consequences for actions that come into play where students are violating district policies and impacting the learning environment of other students. And so ensuring that as a school board, we understand the policies, have the policies in place, and then support the decisions of our administration as far as the consequences of those actions is very important, because I think you can educate as much as possible and you're still going to have students that deviate and test the waters. And I think when they get into those circumstances, there has to be consequences, and certainly education and consequences would come together, I think, to help curtail that issue.
Thank you. Stacia?
I'll start by saying that we are so fortunate to have Community in Action here in Smithville. They are a wealth of knowledge. They have so much information, so much research, so many resources at their disposal. And I personally have greatly appreciated all that they do, and getting a chance to be involved and hear from them and hear their vision and hear what they have that lies ahead. I know for one thing that they do have a curriculum that is ready to go. It is ready to go into the schools. All they need is for that trigger to be pulled and to get it in there and get that information to our students. And I wholeheartedly support that. They are a great group to partner with. Obviously, they have been a huge supporter of the fifth quarters that are happening after football games in the public. I personally just think that there are so many ways that the school district can align with CIA and utilize those resources, utilize the value that they bring to the community, and find those ways. What are those connection points? What are those places? The trading card kids, obviously, is an awesome opportunity. Gets those younger students, seeing those kids, having the opportunity to utilize their reward system to sit down and have lunch with those kids. I brought that up to my children the other day, asked them if they had seen that on their list of things that they could do, because that is an awesome way for my kids to see older kids making smart choices for their health and their well-being, and I want them to have those role models. So anywhere we can find those connection points, because marijuana is not the only issue. The fact that it's been legalized makes things more challenging, and there are a lot of things that have to be addressed on that front, but it's not the only issue at play. So the more that we can partner up with them and find those points of connection, the more we can utilize the vast wealth of knowledge that they have and the ways that they can show us what it is we should be doing to make sure that our students are prepared to stand up and say no.
Samantha?
I agree with everyone else that has spoken in that the Smithville Community in Action is a great asset to our community. I follow them on Facebook, and so I see all of the playing cards, the trading cards that they post with all the students, and so that's cool when you see a student that you know on there, and your child knows from seeing them through some sporting event or other activity. And I think the board would be remiss to not continue partnerships when we have that opportunity available. And as far as continued drug, alcohol, tobacco, education and awareness, I think that's largely our responsibility as parents. We need to make sure that we're stepping up at home and making sure our kids are educated on the dangers and the consequences if, something happens. And as Stacia pointed out, it is, since marijuana is legal now, that is a bit of a trickier situation, and how, what the consequences might be of that. However, if they're using it in school, they're underage. So my biggest point here is just, I think at home, we just need to make sure that we're fully educating our students to the dangers and consequences of what this can do to potentially, affect your life. So that's what I think the parents need to step up the most in this situation.
Thank you, Brooke.
So the community action program is awesome, especially since they've already kind of done the groundwork for everybody here, providing the materials and the knowledge and educational standpoints that you can get that to our students. Something else that I think is important though is not just getting education to our students, but to our families and the community, our parents. So you don't know what's out there. You don't know what to educate your children to look out for. Like Skittles, it looks like Skittles in some cases, and it only takes one time. One time is too late, so you need to be able to have all the tools at your disposal as a parent first to get that information to your child at whatever age. And I do agree with Patrick, there's never too young an age to start educating our children. And hopefully, I'm assuming the community action program has a curriculum, like she said, that needs to be spread to parents especially, and not just to our students. Another thing that I think that is important from a community standpoint, or parents as well, is to share your experiences. I know there's people out there that have firsthand experiences, myself included. You need to share that. Don't keep that hurt into yourself. Share it with everybody so that they know what they're up against and that they know what's at stake. I think we all can appreciate what is at stake, but to experience it firsthand is a lot bigger deal than just to know what's coming. So share your experiences with each other, communicate that, and then also, get yourself educated so that you know what to tell your children to look out for, and that they can be prepared when they are presented with that opportunity, and that they hopefully make the right choice after you've given them all the tools that they need to make that choice.
Thank you. And I appreciate so much the context here. When I first heard the word CIA, I'm hoping everybody knows what we're talking about. Those who go on the internet, we're not talking about that other thing, community in action. So it's a very exciting program. All right, fourth question. Brooke, you're going to be the first, so keep that microphone right there. What kind of community partnerships or activities could support student achievement outside of school?
Well, we are working with the community to do that real world learning. A portion of the graduate will be, expanding out through this existing community, also past the Smithville community. But, we have so many community members that don't have children in the district, but they have been around for so long. They've seen what Smithville once was, and they've shared their experiences. One woman in particular I recently got to talk to, she told me what it used to be like before I knew Smithville. I've been here, 6 years, and before that I was, traveling here all the time, but I didn't know what there was before. I ran into Mr. Porter himself a while back, and he told me what used to be where Smithville Lake is, what used to be where my current house is. And it's just so exciting to just hear what they have to say about what it once was and what it is now. And I hope that they don't have too much sadness about what Smithville was, but they can, maybe that sadness can be overshadowed by what is to come and what it is now. They can see the families in the community working together, experiences, the fun stuff that we're growing together, the school's success, the community as a whole is just expanding, and, the parks and recs, they're becoming more family friendly and, attractive to the outside of Smithville. Now, we want to attract the positive families and the people that are going to care about our community the way that we do. And so I just think it's really exciting to, get to know the people out there and hear their experiences and see what their priorities are.
Susan.
Okay. I think this is something that the school district has really been trying to work on. I think we did a very good job before, but I think this is something that we've been trying to work on. And I see the value of community partnerships. It partners our student learning, but it also shows our community what our school district gives and brings to the school district brings to the community. You know, we wouldn't have such a strong community, I believe, if we didn't have such a strong school district. We are not that big of a town, but I believe that if we could get more students to partner and work with the community, then we could help strengthen that bond. Of course, the real world learning is something that's very important. And Carol Noaker, our real world learning coordinator, she has reached out to our community, and the way our community has responded is very, very good. To me, as a community member, as a school board member, when she asks for volunteers to come in to do interviews or to take students as on internships, she gets very good results. So that shows to me that our community wants to support our students, and that we need to show to our community what our students can do. We always appreciate our community for the money that they donate to our schools in many ways, be it fundraisers, be it donations to sports club, donations to all kinds of things. But I think we need to keep showing them where their money is going to and how we can help them, because the only way our community businesses are going to continue to thrive is if they have workers. So we need to help them to show some of I know a lot of people here, I'm not from Smithville, but a lot of you guys are, and you came back. So we need to show that this is a good place to live and to make sure we have those kind of things. So the last thing I want to mention is the Carson Insurance Agency is doing a partnership with us about kindness awards. And I think that we partner on all kinds of things for academics, for sports, but I think this kindness thing has really hit me very hard. It's hit me hard. It's very important to me that I appreciate that they're trying to acknowledge and see that we have a lot of good kids. We have a lot of kind kids. So I like that we have a variety of community sponsorships.
Thank you. Patrick.
So from the real world learning side of things, when I was at my previous employer, I was in charge of our internship program. We called it a co-op program. Instead of taking on college students for a summer internship, which would be 2 months, we did a full 8-month co-op. And prior to being in charge of it, I was a participant in it when I was still in school. And I found a tremendous amount of value in that program, not only as a participant, but as a person being in charge of it. And so through that program, you have to partner with the community. You want to try to bring students that are going to college, that are from the community, into that program to learn more about a local business. And I think that ties into having the community partnerships with the school district as well. If you're having things such as job fairs or job shadowing opportunities, just to get an idea to the students of what's out there. What types of jobs are available to them, what types of opportunities that are available to them. Until I even went to college, I didn't know what mining engineering was. Never thought about a rock quarry, never thought about a mine ever. And if I had known about that in high school, certainly would have been an opportunity that attracted to me at a younger age. And so I think if we are able to expand those programs into things such as the job fairs and job shadowing, as well as possibly community speakers in the classes, how can we introduce those community leaders into a shop class or an engineering class or a mathematics class? Where those opportunities lie, and can we expand those resources down to the frontline teacher level and make them aware that if they find opportunities, let's get the real world learning group out there to find the speakers and get that information to our students so that they can learn about opportunities available to them that they don't know. Things such as field trips as well. I mean, I think field trips are a really flashy thing for kids to go do. One, they get out of school, and two, they get to go actually see something hands-on. I think those things are really important. And obviously, if you think of field trips as that's one more cost, but when you have another partnership and somebody in the community is willing to take on that financial burden, I think that can be a success. One thing else I think about is even partnering with the city. Certainly we have a lot of projects going on in the community, the city does as well. What sorts of opportunities can we get students involved in project management or marketing or anything to do with the growth that we have going on? Can we get students involved in that? Maybe students in the engineering class here at school can get involved in designing the transportation building. Maybe they can just meet with the project managers that are executing that project and get a little bit more transparency to what day in the life of a project manager might be. As the city's planning for their multiple events throughout the community, can we get students involved in that? Can we reach out to the newspaper? Maybe they can get us an opportunity for students to be involved in publishing articles and things like that.
Time's up, thanks. Stacia?
I think one of the common themes that I heard emerge is truly when we extend an invitation, we find people who are willing. That's one of the things that I love about Smithville is that we do have a great deal of community pride. And that pride extends to the school district. And whether the people have students currently in the school district, if they did previously, if their grandchildren are in the school district, it doesn't matter because it's Smithville and it's the Warriors and they have great pride in that. And I think there are lots of opportunities and people who want to be involved, but they're just not sure what step they need to take or what they really have to offer. And if someone came and just invited them or asked them, what do you think it is that you would bring to the table? How could we work with you? What do you see as an opportunity? They'll jump at the chance. I think as Susan mentioned some of the things that have currently been happening, we see that. We see that the community is willing to step up to the plate. All we have to do is ask.
Samantha?
Part of the reason my family moved back to Smithville, my husband is from here, was because of the community and the support. And we have one high school, we're all Warriors. We all have our Warrior gear on all the time, pretty much. And I think that, as Stacia said, you can put an opportunity out there and people will respond because that's how Smithville is. We are a small community with lots of opportunities available. And as everyone has said, the real world learning, and even though these are part of the school, the cadet teaching, parents as teachers, all great programs that I know my children have benefited from the cadet teaching. I know that at least I think my son has had a cadet teacher in his class this year, and he thought it was pretty neat that an older student was learning from an older student. And we've also benefited from parents as teachers as well. We had Miss Mary Kay, and so she was great, and we really love her. And I just think all the community partnerships that are out there, and as Brooke said, also Smithville Parks and Rec, they're having a lot more events directed towards family. They have the tea party coming up, and they have the egg hunt coming up soon. And so these are just all great opportunities that it gives our students a chance to be involved more in the community, and these businesses or programs to help our school out as well. So I think Smithville, that's what draws people to Smithville, also the school and the community, and how much that they want to help our district be great too.
All right, this is our last question, and it's going to be Stacia, Samantha, Patrick, Susan, and Brooke. That'll be your order. What procedures can be put in place to incorporate parent input into the district's safety strategies, programs, and curriculum? So Stacia, when you're ready.
In a lot of ways, I think that's already happening. I personally have had a lot of surveys that I've gotten to fill out this year and in previous years. asking about questions ranging from the academic calendar to what priorities I think should be in place. And I personally greatly appreciate that. I also, I am at Eagle Heights, and the emails that I receive from the principal outlining things that are coming up, from my classroom teachers outlining what's happening every single week, what's on the agenda moving forward, it keeps me well informed. I get nervous when I start to hear my parenting playing into directing curriculum and how my teachers are teaching, because I myself am not an educator. Both of my parents were, and when I considered the idea of becoming a teacher myself, they cautioned me a little bit, so I knew that wasn't for me. And I still to this day know that's not for me. 2020 taught me that, if nothing else, when I suddenly became a teacher for a quarter and started panicking and wondered what on earth I was going to do, and was so grateful for the teachers that my son did have, who kept me on the right path and helped me make sure that I was keeping him on the right path. So when it comes to curriculum specifically, that is not an area where I believe I need to insert my opinion. On those other issues, I believe that Smithville has done a good job. They ask, they put the information out there. Whether or not parents take advantage of that and listen to that and follow that is a different animal, and that's ultimately not going to be something that I can change.
Thank you. Samantha?
I believe that open communication for parents with their teachers and their principal at their school that their child attends is paramount for any of these issues, for safety programs and curriculum. I know our teachers always send out weekly newsletters with what they're working on in class. And so I've never hesitated to reach out to our teachers, just shoot them an email if I need more clarification on anything. And as for the school safety, we do have the bond issue coming up that will increase school safety measures for surveillance and communications. And I think parents absolutely do have a say in their children's education and curriculum and programs that they're involved in. If something's being introduced that is not what they believe, they should have the opportunity to opt out of it. And there should be full transparency as well with what's being taught to our children. And there's no reason that anything should be not discussed with parents. So I believe that full transparency with parents and what's being taught in our schools, and if it's not something that the parent believes should be taught, that they have the opportunity to opt out of that as well, and it shouldn't be anything that's ever required.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah, I think we do have, a lot of existing communication channels when it comes to parents. And I think that the most important thing to generating input is feeling like their voice is being heard. And so I think that, and I think that's true for a lot of things. You don't want to continue to participate in something that you don't feel like you're getting any value out of. And so I think that, we can do a good job of understanding within our long-term plans and within our short-term actions how much that feedback has been applied to those decisions, and we can do a good job of highlighting that this decision came from this input and communicating that outward so that parents know that the school district is taking action on the input coming from parents. And I think that's sometimes something that's really easy to overlook when we're racing to make decisions and racing to keep up, but certainly highlighting that input is being valued and the input is being acted upon is really important. I think when it comes to parents, the PTO groups are really important. I mean, you can look at this event tonight as an example of the parents parents being empowered to come out and support the election for the school board candidates by providing this forum. I think empowering our teachers as well is important. I think our teachers knowing that their voice is heard. We are a small community, so teachers do have relationships with parents, and at times parents are likely more comfortable to discuss things and their feelings with the teachers. And so I think having that as an additional communication channel is very important. And certainly the teachers knowing that their voice is heard and going after the teachers on the front line and requesting that information from them when it comes to issues like prioritizing what projects are going to be on the bond issue. Having that back and forth of, well, what do you think is important within the community? What are you hearing about this? And I think that all together will create a really positive output.
Susan.
One thing that's important to me to say is I think our school district has done this in the past really well. As I said, I've been in the district my kids have been here for 12 years. And when my kids were in grade school, we always had curriculum nights at the schools, and you could go. We always had meetings where they would tell us what was going on, but unfortunately we had very low turnout. It would be, I always joked, it was the same 10 of us that were there at each meeting. And to me, that was sad. And I don't know exactly why COVID changed all of that, but I believe they were doing it back then, and I believe we're still trying. Tomorrow night is a math night. We're going over all of the curriculum in the math tomorrow night in the middle school, so you can come and learn about your math curriculum. We did the science curriculum last year. I think it's trying to get more people aware that we are trying to put it out there. We're trying to be transparent, but we need parents and us to figure out how we can do that the best way. I am not an expert in education. I can't even begin to say that my dad was a math teacher, to tell him what to do. I just can't even imagine that. And I think education is getting also attacked by the legislature. And that is very scary and sad to me, in that the legislator is trying to put into effect things that affect our kids when they really have never been in education and don't have the idea of what that trickle-down effect is going to do. So I believe that we need to work with our administrators and work with our schools. As a parent, I think something important too, this is hard for me as a parent sometimes, is my kid was not always right. My kid would say stuff and I would be like, don't know about that. Get all the information before you start making accusations. I think that would be some way that the school district and the parents could work better together, because it is very attacking when you come at somebody and maybe we just don't have all of the information. Our strategies, we just did our strategic plan and worked on it. The public was invited to come. We had some. We had more. I was encouraged. It was more than we used to, but still not what we would like to see happen. But I think the school district is trying to reach out and work with parents and the community, because we have community members come too, because we realize you are part of your kids' district. So I think what we all need to do is work together, and we all need to say, okay, we might all have differences, but we need to work together and respect. Respect is that word that really, I think we've lost a lot of that lately. So that's something that's really important to me.
All right, Brooke.
Goes back to my biggest concern is trust in the district, trusting that they have your child's best interest at heart, and also communication. That's something that we're gonna have to continue to work on. There could be something in the curriculum that you don't understand, but like she just mentioned, you need to get all the facts so that you don't, attack first and then ask questions later. We need to get back to that humanization of each other. Social media has taken that away from us, and we need to get back to this, the face-to-face conversations. We don't be afraid to have conversations with people. Yeah, you're not an educator as a parent maybe, but you do have the ability to question the educators, to question the board. You can do that, and you should feel empowered to do that. As myself, an individual, I have had overcome this in the past is, talking to the school board is very intimidating, but they are people and they will listen. And the school is already doing a great job of communicating as much as they can to my teachers. I get 3 emails like every week with what my speech student is doing in class, which is fantastic. But it can be overwhelming, for me individually, and then from the principal, so trying to pick out the pieces of information that are important is going to be difficult. But we have those communication pieces where you can talk to others around you to see what is coming up. And like she mentioned, the math curriculum night, yeah, you get to see what's going to be in the curriculum for math, what they do, how they, build that math up for your kids from the ground up all the way through high school. Science curriculum last year was really exciting. I got to see more of that real world learning, how it's going to be integrated in there. But again, we got to get people out to those meetings so that you can ask the questions that you would want to ask. What is this program? There might be some programs that are going to be launched into the district and they're going to start implementing that into your students. And you should have the decision to be able to pull your kid from that if you don't agree with it. But we need to also educate the families. Like, what is this program? Where did it come from? Like Patrick said, where did we decide? What triggered this to be something we wanted to implement in our district? And so knowing the basis behind that, I think we'll start to get a little bit more comfortable as parents to start implementing that or have our children participate in it. Educating our parents and say, this is what it is. Well, you can participate in it too to see what it's all about. I think that will, build up trust between parents and the teachers in the district so that you feel comfortable with what is being taught in schools. And you should absolutely feel comfortable being able to question anything that is happening with your children involved.
Thank you. Hey, I'd like to ask you to help me thank these candidates right now for being here tonight. It's important that you care, and that's amazing. That is amazing that you care. So just a real testament to this community that you would be here and help these folks understand where you would like to lead the school board in the future. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming and being a part of this. For those of you online, we appreciate you hanging in there with us as well, watching the screen, as we've all watched more screens than we ever want to in the rest of our lives. You did well. So give yourselves a hand, go get something from the fridge and take a rest, watch your favorite show, whatever you want to do. So as we close tonight, I'm going to ask Denise Harwood to come forward. Next Tuesday, you're going to have an opportunity to cast a vote for some of these candidates as well as some other things on the ballot. And so Denise is going to come and share with you some things about that. And when she's finished, you'll be dismissed.
It's okay.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight and participating in this event. Thank you all for your interest and for your time running for our school board. It is a great responsibility and it is a great amount of time. And we know that the salary is very little, so it's free. But it's a huge investment. And so again, I can't thank you for your interest in being here. And thank you for our other board members for being here tonight as well, and for you as community members. In case you don't know me, I'm the interim superintendent, and we have Dr. Moss in the back of the room as well, the incoming superintendent. And so we are both here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the GEO bond that is on the ballot on Tuesday. These candidates did a great job already giving you most of the points, but it is a no tax rate increase bond issue. It is $17.5 million. And what Patrick said is the message I like to get across. We do have a 10-year plan in place. We get community input on those plans and we review that plan every time we have a bond issue that's going to go out to make sure that those are still the projects that our community wants for our school. And so we had a huge meeting last year. We looked at our project list, and we're putting that on the ballot now. And so what that means, we've had people say, well, does that mean that we're not adding to your taxes? Does that extend the life? It will extend it about 3 years, just like when you refinance your loan on things. So it's like refinancing. But we have to make sure we have great facilities, just like we have wonderful teachers. Those teachers want wonderful facilities to teach in and for our students. And so looking at a transportation facility, many of you know, Coulter's owned our bus, or they were contracted with them for our bus service for many, many years. And that transportation facility is in their backyard. And they would like to have their backyard back for their excavation business. And so we had a great opportunity to purchase land right next to the main campus here. And we need to build a transportation facility so our buses can be here. We currently contract with DS Bus Lines, who are located in Overland Park or Olathe. So anytime we have a bus issue, a bus breaks down, we have a emergency trip that needs to be made, it would have to come all the way from Overland Park or Olathe. This facility would provide a place to service buses, have an oil change, check a tire, meetings and professional development for our drivers. So it's very useful. The second thing would be a sidewalk improvement. If you've ever been on this main campus, you've had kids that walk maybe from Horizon Elementary up to the high school. It's super congested, and we want to have sidewalks that connect so our students can travel safely on this campus. There's lots of outdoor activities, practices, extracurricular events. The city's been working really hard to put sidewalks through our community. They will start on the sidewalks off of Commercial, and we'll tie right in to those sidewalks on our main campus. HVAC, so who likes heating and cooling? All of us, right? So I can say as the former principal of Horizon Elementary, we've had some HVAC concerns for the last several years. That has been on a ballot before, and units were replaced. We want to finish that project once and for all at Horizon Elementary and the middle school to have completely new HVAC units in both of those buildings. Security enhancements, as you can understand, I will not go through the whole list of every security item that we need because it is security. But some things that we've been discussing is increased communications and increased surveillance. We've been working on updating our emergency operating plan this school year. We've been working with our local emergency management and crisis response teams and pulling our community into our schools and making sure that our plans and our facilities are the very best that they can be for our kids. Middle school field to turf, we've talked about that. Again, tonight you've heard that. So using that as an outdoor space for physical education, for activities, for band. If we have people practicing on the main field, it gets really hectic. And so that would be an alternative location so more students could utilize those spaces. And we can have it going on at the same time, which would help you as a parent. My kids both have graduated from the district. If you've had that 6 o'clock in the morning practice, you might appreciate having an alternate space so you're not running back and forth so much. And lastly, the high school gym expansion. Years ago, when this building was built in the 1960s, they built a weight room and a wrestling room. I think there were other rooms at the time, but that's what was lastly there. When we built the WAC, those places are empty, and the goal was to knock those walls out and to expand our seating. If you've been to any of our heavily contested events, so we had a really big game against Kearney recently, the gym was packed. And so when we have assemblies or activities or events, we want to be able to expand that seating so our student body and our fans can sit in our gym comfortably. The structures are already there. We just need to knock out the walls and do that space. We'll also have additional storage. And another piece of that project is to take the old stage out. Since this beautiful building's been built, we don't need that high school stage, the gym stage any longer. So we can make that a multi-purpose room to serve our students. We were hoping to make that space have ceilings tall enough and wide enough for our dance team and our cheer squad. They can do some stunting in there. We also would use it as an alternate testing location. So trying to think through, again, as a multi-purpose space for a variety of people. If you ever have questions, there is a frequently answered ask question page on our website. We've been trying to put out fast facts every week, but please know you can email, call at any time, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. And please help us, tell your neighbors and your friends and get out there and vote. So Appreciate your time and your attention again. Thank you everyone for attending this evening. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
That's hard. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. I appreciate it.
So are you Alyssa's mom? I mean, dad?